Hey everyone, how's it going? Today, let's take an up-close and personal, in-depth look at the 2014 Scion IQ. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the IQ. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip, and go over the performance data, as well as show you a bunch of the unique aspects of the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to extend a big thanks and special shout out to Rice Toyota Scion, located in Greensboro, North Carolina, for allowing me to come out and film the 2014 Scion IQ. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. The exterior color is known as magnetic gray metallic, featuring a two-tone combination of black and ash cloth interior.
The IQ features standard electric assist, speed proportional rack and pinion power steering, and a unique 3-spoke leather-wrapped steering wheel with grips up top, as well as a flatter design towards the bottom of the wheel. Not to mention red color accent stitching as standard and your multifunction controls to the left-hand side. The sole gearbox is a continuously variable automatic or CVT transmission with both sport and engine braking modes, for better performance and braking assistance respectively. A manual gearbox isn't available due to the desire for increased smoothness. It's a lot more convenient for those likely to have to shift often in the city with hills and the like.
So, let's go ahead and flip on the projector headlamps, as well as the hazards. The IQ does also have power windows. Not only power, they're fully automatic for both sides. So let's go ahead and check out the exterior, shall we?
The Scion IQ first hit the market back in 2012 as a new addition to the subcompact market. Pitted more directly as a competitor towards the Smart Fortwo, it can be loosely compared with other compacts such as the Fiat 500, Honda Fit, Chevrolet Spark, and more. While the IQ is smaller than the three I just mentioned, that is in fact one of its biggest strengths. Because of its size, it's able to fit into pretty much any parking space that many other cars will simply have to abandon. That simple fact makes it ideal for urban living, which brings us to our key demographic. The IQ, while perfectly able to tackle the long commute, is ideally suited for those living in the city, where large, cumbersome vehicles are hard to live with. Even though its exterior dimensions are some of the smallest out there, it does have quite a large interior for two comfortably, or more with a bit of seat shuffling. All in all, the IQ, while it does have 4 seats, is more of a 3+1 vehicle, seating for 3 people and perhaps a child. At 10 feet long, the IQ is shorter than the Honda Fit by 3 feet 5.5 inches. It's also shorter than a Fiat 500 by 19.5 inches. Starting at $16,400, the IQ is nearly the price of a base 2014 Corolla and is actually cheaper by about $400 or so. But it's actually a couple grand higher than a base Yaris, which begs the question, how does it compare, especially against the Smart Fortwo? Unlike the Smart, the IQ feels more like a regular car, with a regular feeling transmission as far as CVTs are concerned, and plenty of modern tech inside. Because the Fortwo is a vehicle for two, the IQ can also seat more people, while overall performance is delivered smoother with better fuel economy. While the Yaris is a good entry-level choice, the Scion offers something a bit different, modern, and contemporary style. Ever since Scion began producing cars a decade ago, they've always catered to a youthful, fresh look, combining a long list of customization options and well-equipped standard features. The IQ really feels more like a smaller Corolla. Its premium feel and look for an economy car makes it stand out from the crowd. In addition to the standard features, which I'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, it also features projector beam headlamps as well as LED turn signal mirrors. The IQ comes standard with 16 by 5 inch steel wheels with silver wheel covers, but alloy rims are also available as an extra accessory. They're wrapped in 175/60 Goodyear Assurance all-season tires. As far as the brakes, up front you have 10-inch internally ventilated discs with single-piston sliding calipers, while the rear features 7.1-inch drums. While it may be dated to use drums in 2014, the Smart 4.2 also employs rear drum brakes, pretty common in this category. It's a perfectly adequate setup for a city car. With this setup, the IQ can stop from 60 miles an hour in as little as 131 feet. As far as the suspension, up front you have independent McPherson struts, while the rear has a semi-independent twist beam axle. At all four corners, you also have coil springs and twin-tube dampers. There is also a stabilizer bar up at the front and the rear. Overall length is 120.1 inches, with a width of 66.1 and a height of 59.1 inches, riding on a wheelbase of 78.7 inches. Total curb weight, as you see here, is around 2,127 pounds.
So let's go ahead and pop the hood.
The IQ's standard power plant consists of a naturally aspirated all-aluminum 1.3-liter four-cylinder. It features double overhead camshafts with 4 valves per cylinder, in addition to variable intake and exhaust valve timing. Its redline is 6,100 RPM and has a compression ratio of 11.5. Total horsepower output is a modest 94 at 6,000 RPM, with 89 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. Keep in mind that the IQ is in the city car category, where fuel economy and smoothness is more prominent on the radar versus high horsepower and tire-burning performance. 0 to 60 times for the IQ are achieved in just under 10 seconds, while quarter-mile times are an average of 17.5 seconds at 79 miles per hour. As far as fuel economy, with an 8.5-gallon tank running on regular 87 octane, the EPA rates the IQ between 36 city and 37 on the highway. The IQ, while may not be for everyone, is really something to consider if you're looking for a high-quality, subcompact city commuter. Overall build quality is quite good, with great ergonomics and plenty of standard convenience features. With Scion's unique personality, it's also pretty stylish, with two-tone panels, higher-grade textured plastics, and soft-touch material across the touch points. The doors and dash also feature high-gloss metallic black trim that also gives it a more contemporary feel. Your power windows are located on the door, while your mirrors are to the left of the steering wheel and locks are on the center console. And your tweeter is actually embedded in the panel with a little bit of bright work, storage down below with an extra bottle holder. The seats are pretty much your basic transportation, but have relatively good support taking that into consideration. They also have a pretty neat look to them with the mixed media and patterns on the lower cushion. Extra safety is provided by 11 airbags in all, while the headrests are fixed, positioned in a way to help limit whiplash injury in the case of a rear collision. They're also fully manual, with your adjustments across the edge. As you continue through the interior, the higher quality look continues all the way throughout, with logoed floor mats, as well as a standard driver and passenger side knee airbag. Plenty of curves and swooping themes found throughout, especially across the speedometer cluster, and the steering wheel is standard manual tilt telescoping.
So let's go ahead and see how she sounds.
go ahead and shut her up. Nice tight feeling panels, especially for an economy car. The IQ comes standard with a 4-speaker 130-watt audio system fed through a touchscreen mobile media system with all the latest smartphone integration capabilities and HD radio. You can also upgrade to a 200-watt premium bespoke audio system with AHA that features DVD capabilities, satellite radio, concierge services, social media, and more. Navigation is also available. Standard side curtain airbags, grip handle for the driver's seat that gradually goes up instead of slamming against the headliner, as well as a vanity mirror with a little card holder. The rear view mirror is manually dimming, and up top you have a single LED interior light that's actually fully adjustable. So if you need a reading lamp for the passenger side or the driver portion, you just twist it to the desired location. It can also be set to come on with the door. Now the multimedia system itself is really quite simple to use and customizable with extra features like I touched on earlier. As far as the basic layout, up top you have a single disc in-CD drive, CD eject, as well as hands-free voice recognition for your Bluetooth telephone.
After the beep, say a phone command.
All touch sensitive and it's pretty responsive overall. This is basically your main radio screen. Right now we're actually using a CD, so it shows your playlist, artist, song information if available, time of course, and album artwork if it's available. Down below, you can manually go through your different tracks. Of course, repeating, pausing, selecting at random, and adjusting your sound settings. Different profiles, equalizers, and speed compensated volume. To the left-hand side is where you can choose between your different audio modes. Just hit the button, and this gives you kind of like a little snapshot that you can go through the different modes as such, or if you hit all, it'll bring it all up. So standard AM, FM, Bluetooth hands-free streaming of audio, as well as CD. The other two that aren't highlighted because we don't have anything connected is your iPod auxiliary and USB integration that's located right in the center console. To the right-hand side is the system setup, so different customizable options, tailored to the respective function, HD radio settings, your hands-free telephone screen where you can manually input a number or voice dial like I showed you earlier, and with the bespoke premium audio system you also have an added navigation feature. Continuing down the center console, in 3 chrome accented rotary knobs are your simple climate control adjustments. Up top is your fan speed as well as your rear defrost, your different zones, recycling, as well as front defrost, and temperature adjustment at the very bottom with your AC. There is a power outlet at the very bottom there, your lock and unlock, USB auxiliary and traction control, emergency brake, single cup holder, and an open space in the middle for a little bit of extra storage since the vehicle doesn't come with a glove box. We'll check out the back seat a little bit more in just a second. As far as the steering wheel, the only controls that you have are on the left-hand side here, and that corresponds to your radio controls, including your power and changing the different modes. The stalk to the right are your intermittent wipers and controls for your rear wiper, and then your lighting and turn signal to the left. Your power mirrors, display brightness like you saw earlier, clock adjustments, and this right-hand side knob, and to the left-hand side correspond to the little driver information system located to the left of the speedometer cluster. With your trip computer, fuel data, turning on your eco mode. Pretty simple, not to mention instantaneous fuel economy, outside temperature, the gear you're in, and a clock. The speedometer itself is also quite simple and has that textured pattern that you find throughout the rest of the interior panels. It also has a tachometer, which is nice, and a little slant to them, giving a little bit more of a sporty look. That's a Bluetooth microphone that you'll locate towards the bottom of the cluster. Just like the radio bezel, the speedometer cluster also has that metallic black trim, not to mention the faux brushed aluminum texture pattern you also find in the rest of the panels. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. A basic vehicle, but still packs a nice amount of technology for the modern era. Let's go ahead and shut her down. And we'll go ahead and check out the back seat. Now, in order to gain access to the back seat,
you're going to want to grab this lever here to recline it back, and then this one to slide it forward. The two-step process is just on the driver's seat, whereas if you recline the passenger side seat, it automatically slides forward all its own. But just easy to expect out of a little microcar, backseat room is quite small. It's not too bad if you're maybe around 5.5 feet or so, but it's definitely a tighter space, especially when taking a longer trip. The side panels feature the same textured plastic trim that you find throughout, as well as 2 cup holders for both the rear passengers. The headrests are up top, are also adjustable, and for better visibility, if you don't have anybody sitting back there, I would just take them out personally. So let's go ahead and hop in the back seat. Like I said, to release the passenger side, it's only one motion instead of 2. Now the advantage that the Scion IQ has over something like a Smart 4.2 is that it does have a usable back seat. Even though, I won't lie, it is a cramped back seat for someone of my height, around 5'10", 5'11" or so. But if you're 5.5 feet or even shorter, even a child, you can definitely sit back here. It's not an issue at all. Approximate room, my head is just barely touching the back of the ceiling right here. I have a little bit more wiggle room up top, maybe half an inch or so. And with a reasonable seating position for someone of my height in front of me, my knees are just barely touching the back of the seat, but there is some give to this cloth, so you're not quite so pressed. Now, I wouldn't recommend someone of my height or taller to ride in the back seat of the IQ just because it will be more uncomfortable for a longer trip. If you're just needing something for an urban runabout that gets good gas mileage and you're just shuffling around maybe a couple kids or just a bunch of groceries, then it's a really good alternative to something like a Smart 4.2. But backseat comfort is decent at best. Like I said, you do have the cup holders, you do have rear speakers so you can still hear the audio system up front, and there are rear quarter windows to help eliminate a little bit of a blind spot and give the passengers a little bit more area to look around at. It doesn't make you feel quite as claustrophobic with the extra glass around too, so it gives it kind of an open feeling. Open up the convenient hatch of the IQ and you'll find a rather small 3.5 cubic feet with the rear seats up, leaving only a bit of room for some small items. Where the benefit really comes in is folding down the rear seat. Once you do that, it expands to a larger 16.7 cubic feet. This is done by just pressing the buttons at the top of the seat. So now the cargo space is that of similar to a mid-sized sedan. Being a hatch, you have more height versus width, helping you store taller items. And if you need a little bit of extra space, there's also a storage cubby down below. If you're going to be hauling any child seats in the back, the seat anchors are not actually in the seat themselves, but towards the back across the threshold. You do have the same reclining and sliding function of the passenger seat that you find in the driver's. Like I said, you don't have a glove box for the passenger side portion. Your storage is basically located in between the front seats. At least that's where this owner manual is being kept. It also has a standard passenger side airbag for a little bit of extra protection, in addition to the one in the dash. Also, like I mentioned, the upper portion of the door panel here is padded, as is the middle portion, but on the passenger side, this part of the dash is also padded, giving a little bit more of a soft touch versus a harder plastic on the driver's side. The Scion IQ may be a bit quirky on the expansive US highways, but its main forte is being a zippy, fuel-efficient car for the urban dweller. With Scion's unique personality and customizability options, it only adds to its attractiveness when compared to the competition. A high-quality commuter with all the necessities and maneuverability you'll ever need in the city. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2014 Scion IQ. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care, everybody.